All right, what's happening? Y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and man, that boy Adam Peters went on that Pat McAfee show and said some really interesting things. Now, originally, when I first saw that he was going to be on there, I thought he was just going to keep it plain and simple, but he actually gave us a lot of really interesting insight and background information on some things. I mean, he talked about the Commanders getting a new locker room. We're going to talk about that. He talked about his relationship with Howie Roseman. He talked about how hyped they were about a lot of their draft picks. He's excited about how Deebo Samuel's going to contribute to the team, and a lot more than just that. On top of that, the second half of the video, we're also going to talk about all of the jersey numbers for the rookies and free agent signings. Of course, you know me, man. It's not going to be as simple as just giving y'all the jerseys. I'm going to tell y'all who previously had the number. I'm going to tell you some of the Redskin greats that have previously had the number as well. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, and of course, I have a trivia question for you today. Today's trivia question: what Washington end from St. Mary's was the first Hispanic American to be drafted by an NFL team 11th round 1941 and the first to earn first team All-Pro honors in 1944? I'll give you the answer to that at the end of the video, but before we do, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. I promise y'all the Javon Kinlaw videos on the way and film sessions for the rookie classes on the way as well. But let's go ahead and dive into the video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so Adam Peters was on the Pat McAfee show early today, and it kind of came out of nowhere. It seemed like nobody was really expecting this. Like, I don't think anybody knew the night before. It just kind of was announced via the Pat McAfee show like this morning before Adam Peters pulled up. And if you go check out the episode, shouts out to Ben Standig for pointing out the fact that Adam Peters pulls up around like 87 minutes into it if you want to see like the full thing. But Pat McAfee also like went ahead and uploaded a YouTube version of the full like 32 minutes worth of interview. And of course, he talked about Jaden Daniels. We're going to talk about that because what he had to say about Jaden Daniels is really interesting. He also talked about their better player report cards. He talked about turning down Howie Roseman in the first round for that trade. He talked about Josh Connolly, Trey Amos, and Jalen Lane. He talked about the terrible turf field. He talked about the new locker room. And he also talked about how excited he is about the upcoming draft that will be in Washington, D.C. in 2027. Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. So first of all, he said something to the extent of, Josh Harris invested a ton of money into this place. There was an AstroTurf field here when I got here, and everything we've asked for, he has done. I mean, he seemed like really disgusted by it, man. He said that when he first got like to the Commanders and everything, he thought the AstroTurf field on Google was like an old photo, but it was actually still there. And even Pat McAfee, while they're talking about it, is still like, couldn't believe that we just got rid of that last year. Like, they're just so confused as to how that AstroTurf field made it as long as it did. And so that just goes to show that Josh Harris is doing everything that he can, even while working on getting the new stadium in 2030. Like, I mean, a lot of owners will probably be like, well, man, we're putting all of this money towards a new stadium. Just be patient. We got y'all in a few years. But Josh Harris getting you that stadium in 2030, and before then, doing everything he can to make what we currently have right now as accommodating and as comfortable as possible. FedEx Field, well, now Northwest Stadium at Landover, Maryland, the facilities in Ashburn, and also most notably, the Commanders are apparently getting a new locker room at their team headquarters in Ashburn, and it is long overdue. We have some of the worst facilities in the NFL. You saw that report card that came out. We had like A's and A pluses and a lot of things that you could control, and then a lot of things that you can't necessarily control where our lower grades were. But again, that was like an infrastructure problem. There's only but so much you can do when the skeleton is bad. The field over there in Landover right now that we play in, it's only but so much you can do to upgrade that. And they've spent millions on millions on millions of dollars upgrading that, and they plan on even investing even more to making that a better situation, because we still have to play there for like the next 5 years. Not like we can just ignore it. Some owners probably would, but Josh Harris and company are not. But again, the locker room situation at a low grade, and that was fairly controllable, but that wasn't something they could just fix day one as soon as Josh Harris got there. There were other things that were priorities. Now they're finally getting to things to where, you know, the players have a better situation around them. So I'm really excited about that, man. That locker room thing, long overdue. The AstroTurf field had to go. Shouts out to Josh Harris and those guys for putting that money in there. I mean, that thing lasted with like 20 plus years since Dan Snyder's been there. It was there before before Dan Snyder got there, I believe, and the field was just so terrible. It was unusable in practice, and Josh Harris came in and was like, all right, let's stop this now, and let's go ahead and replace this. Let's put some serious money to it. Dan Snyder just never felt like it was worth the money in the time. Josh Harris came and did it. I think, remember, technically he came in like July in 2023 by... what was this, like training camp, July 2024? He was like, all right, let's go ahead and fix this now. It may have even been before that. But either way, moving on, he also talked about the upcoming draft in 2027. He said, quote, I can't even put into words how cool it has been announcing the new stadium and the new draft updates that y'all have been getting. He said, there's nothing better than having the NFL draft in Washington, D.C. And I'm really excited about that too. Shouts out to him, because he even had a funny quote about whatever the attendance record is for the NFL draft, we're going to break it. So I love that quote from him, man, because I mean, he didn't even have to say that, man. He could have just said, you know, shouts out to DC. It's going to be nice to have a draft in our backyard and things like that. He went on to say, whatever the attendance record is, we're about to break that. Get ready. About to be the best draft of all time as far as attendance and popularity, fun. It's going to be an event. It's going to be a movie, man. Also, he spoke about the coaching staff as well, most notably Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn. When it came to Cliff Kingsbury, he said that he's a great coach and a great person. And then as far as Dan Quinn, he said that he created a great culture here and people really want to stay here. And that goes a long way, man. We're a top destination in the NFL right now, and Dan Quinn and the culture that he set here is one of the main reasons. Winning helps a lot too, but remember, we won 4 games. Going into that offseason, we had Josh Harris, Adam Peters, and Dan Quinn, and a really good coaching staff, at least on paper. And now it is shown throughout last season, we do have the elite coaching staff that we thought we had on paper. People were just a little hesitant to go ahead and say that we had, and go ahead and claim that we had an elite coaching staff before they actually went out there and played a season, because the Panthers were supposed to have an elite coaching staff going into the 2023 season. Worked out terribly, but ours actually worked out as well as it should have. But my point is, going back to the very, very main point, is that we had just won 4 games last year, the year before in 2023. Only thing that's changed is the front office and the coaching staff, and we're able to pull in all of these ridiculous free agents. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, just to name a few. Dorrance Armstrong had offers in all sorts of places. He chose to go to the Commanders. So that just goes to show that Dan Quinn's presence, his leadership, and the culture that he's brought, even with before the winning, before we went on to go to the NFC Championship game last year, we were a top free agency destination, and that was definitely a lot of that. Not all of it, but a lot of it was Dan Quinn. Also, Adam Peters was very complimentary of Jaden Daniels as well. He said, quote, the first time we flew Jaden Daniels here, after we drafted him, he was doing drop backs on the plane, unquote. And I vaguely remember that story coming out. We never heard it directly through Adam Peters or anybody. I think we were hearing it through reporters, but now there's confirmation that yes, Jaden Daniels was on the plane on the way to Ashburn doing drop backs, which is crazy, man. That boy was ready to work immediately, a couple of days after the draft, before he even got to a rookie minicamp, doing drop backs on the private plane. Insane. Every step of the way you can see the work ethic that he has, and he's such a special person. Adam Peters also said it. I mean, you can see it. It's not like this is just for show. You know what I'm saying? You see the season he just had last year. I feel like easily the best rookie NFL season in ever. I would argue one of the best rookie seasons in all of sports ever. It doesn't happen if he doesn't have that insane work ethic that started literally a couple of days after he got drafted already. I remember it was reports that he told Cliff Kingsbury to go ahead and give him the playbook. He was already working on dropbacks on the plane with no players. There was nobody else on the plane, I believe, except for his family, close friends and things like that, working on dropbacks. No other NFL players around him. And then also, Adam Peters sounds very excited about Deebo Samuel as well. Talked about how wide receiver Deebo Samuel joined the Niners in 2019 when Peters was the vice president of player personnel there, and that basically laid the groundwork for the trade that was set during a lunch with 49ers general manager John Lynch at the Combine. That's an interesting backstory as well. Peters went on to explain why he had his eyes on Samuel as an addition to their offense all offseason. Peters said Samuel is, quote, gonna present a lot of problems for defenses, unquote, because quarterback Jaden Daniels' ability to get the ball out quickly will set the wideout up to make plays in space. Those skills will be enhanced by Samuel's leadership skills as well. I love the fact that he talks about how it's complementary to each other. Jaden Daniels is going to make Deebo Samuel better. Deebo Samuel is going to make Jaden Daniels better. He also said, quote, knowing Deebo from when we drafted him just to be the competitor that he is one of the best competitors on the field that I've ever seen in my life. He could put a team on his back and will you to win, unquote. And we've seen that at times, especially that 2021 season, and even in flashes outside of that season. Even if you didn't love everything he did from beginning to end in 2024, he has his flashes of team on backness, and that's all Jaden Daniels needs, man. Jaden Daniels had to literally carry an entire team to the NFC Championship last year. Like, we did not have the talent defensively nor on offense around Jaden Daniels to make it to the NFC Championship team. You could argue, take quarterbacks away, we had the least talented roster in the entire playoffs from both the AFC and NFC side. A lot of that was elite coaching and Jaden Daniels putting the team on his back. So my whole thing was coming into this offseason, after what we just saw Jaden Daniels is and he could even become better. Please get him some help. Please get him some guys that he could take a play off. Deebo Samuel is the type of guy where Jaden Daniels can take a play off. He couldn't take any plays off. He led our team in rushing last year. And the rushing situation was so bad. Marcus Mariota came and started a game for us against the Cowboys last game of the season. He led our team in rushing that game. The running was that, like, Jaden Daniels literally had to carry the team the whole way. So many fourth quarter comebacks, overtime wins. I mean, dogs hired that one time Marcus Mariota against the Falcons in overtime. Mariota had to come over and coach him up and will him back to hey, we just need this one more play out of you, man, and then you're good type of thing. So we just need as many playoff guys as possible. So that's why I really like the Jalen Lane pick in the 4th round as well. We brought in a lot of guys this offseason that you just get them the ball behind the line of scrimmage, they'll do the rest. Because I don't know if y'all know this, man, but Jaden Daniels, I gotta find the exact stats somewhere, because I'm pretty sure Jaden Daniels, at the very least in the 2024 season, had the highest percentage of touchdowns where he had to throw the ball into the end zone himself. Like, if he threw it before the end zone, the receiver was getting tackled within the 5-yard line, usually at the 1-yard line, way too often. I'm pretty sure he had to deal with that on a percentage-wise more than any other quarterback in the NFL. Most of Jaden Daniels' touchdown throws were because he threw the ball into the end zone, and all the receiver had to do was catch it, and that's it. We didn't have a lot of playmakers, man. Shouts out to Terry for what he did against the Detroit Lions on that screen for that 75-yard touchdown. What he did at the end of that first Cowboys game that should have won us the game, or at least tied it up or whatever. Terry McLaurin had moments, but outside of him, it wasn't much going on. And De'Ami Brown tried occasionally, but then sometimes he tried too hard and he fumbled in that NFC Championship game against the Eagles, which is like the start of everything going downhill. Because I think it was him that fumbled first. When we had some momentum going, the game was still well in reach. I think it was like the first quarter. Then you had the Austin Eckler fumble, and then you had the Jeremy McNichols fumble, and at that point, everything was the wheels just fell off at that point, and Jaden Daniels was just doing everything he could. But again, my point is, man, surround Jaden Daniels with as many guys that can make plays on their own, that are not just a bunch of system guys. You get them the ball, and they'll make it shake. That's why I love Jacory Krosky-Merritt so much. As a 7th-round draft pick, I feel like if we would have taken him in the 3rd round, I wouldn't have even questioned it. We didn't have a 3rd-round pick, but I thought he was worthy of that talent-wise, so I'm looking. That's a guy, you hand the ball off to him, he may break it off for 50 yards. We didn't have anybody in the running back room that could do that last year. And basically, Deebo Samuel is going to be one of the main names that you're going to look for as far as making plays on his own. Jaden Daniels gets them the ball quickly and gets things going, man. And of course, we over-exceeded last year according to expectations. I mean, once you make it to the NFC Championship game, I want to go win a Super Bowl. But at the same time, nobody expected us to make it that far the last season. And so, of course, where the expectations are now, it's going to be hard to, over-exceed those as well. But Deebo Samuel could be a big reason as to why or how we still end up over-exceeding expectations, even after going to an NFC Championship game last year. And then he's not the only one. Adam Peters was also very complimentary of Laramie Tunsil as well. He said, quote, "Laramie Tunsil is one of the best left tackles in the league, and we didn't want to pass up that opportunity. We got that done, and we really wanted Josh Connolly Jr." And he also said that Cliff Kingsbury left that note on his desk, and that basically he wants this guy. And Adam Peters was like, well, if Cliff Kingsbury wants him that bad, seems like we got to go get him. And there were those stories. I think it was Adam Peters was speaking directly to Josh Connolly and told him that we were sweating at pick 10 with the Bears, thinking you may go that high. So they was sweating every single pick until we got to 29 and he was somehow there, and they basically sprinted to the podium. They felt like he was the best player available by far at 29, so they were really happy to get him. But going back to Laramie Tunsil, the combination of him and Josh Connolly talking about making Jaden Daniels' job easier this upcoming season. How about giving them a top 5 offensive line, at least on paper from what I'm seeing so far, especially Samuel Cosmi healthy. This offensive line should be really, really good. I mean, even better than what he had at LSU compared to the competition he was going against in the SEC. So this is going to be the best offensive line Jaden Daniels has ever played behind. This hopefully is going to be one of the better receiving groups. Well, that's tough because Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, and shouts out to Kyron IRP and all of that. I mean, that was a ridiculous receiving room right there. So I don't know, but we're going to try to compete with that. We'll see. I think there's chances though, because I think Jalen Lane is going to surprise a lot of people. And then also, still talking about Josh Connolly, he mentioned that Cliff Kingsbury watches college offenses just for new ideas for what they install in his offense to keep the offense fresh, to keep defenses on their toes to where they never can catch up to him. They're like, okay, we showed you all of these elite plays while you're trying to, watch film on us, study us, and learn how to stop that. I'm already have some new plays ready. So I already love that part. And then he also talked about the fact how he watched every Oregon game. So he was trying to look at them to see what he could take from their offense to add to the Commanders' offense. He wasn't even necessarily scouting Josh Connolly specifically, but just kept noticing him popping up while he was watching the film. And so he was like, man, we got to get that guy. And I'm really excited to see what the offense is going to look like, especially with the fact that having a guy like Josh Connolly with that elite mobility and his ability to get to the next level, he's going to make Deebo Samuel's job easier on screens. He's going to make Jaden Daniels' job easier while he's scrambling. Anybody running to the outside, Josh Connolly got you against linebackers and DBs. And I like Andrew Wiley more than most of the fan base does, but he couldn't do even half of what Josh Connolly's going to do, getting outside, getting to the next level as far as blocking for the guy behind him. So, I mean, a level of offense that Cliff Kingsbury can take this to now, where he's going to have more plays in the playbook just because you drafted Josh Connolly and traded for Laramie Tunsil. This is going to be a completely different offense. I'm super excited about that. And also, shouts out to Josh Taylor, too. I agree. He said, awesome to hear that Cliff Kingsbury is such a film junkie, even watching every snap of offensive lineman in college. So shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury. You could argue there's probably no other offensive coordinator outworking Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe other offensive coordinators are doing that same thing, but I highly doubt anybody's outworking him. And then also continuing with the draft pick situation we just talked about, Josh Connolly, how about Trey Amos? And Adam Peters said, quote, when we drafted Trey Amos, there was a huge roar. He fell to us, which was really awesome, and all of his metrics are incredible, unquote. I mean, not only for the Commanders did they expect Trey Amos to be there at 61, most draft experts never predicted Trey Amos to make it to 61. So a lot of people feel like that was our best pick by value. I would argue Jacory just because, 7th round pick, and I think he could eventually live up to first round level talent. I think he's just that talented. I think he may be, but you can see Trey Amos, and again, they feel like Josh Connolly may have been the steal of the draft. They thought he may go as soon as 10. They were like doing backflips basically when the Cowboys chose to take Tyler Booker instead. They were so excited that Josh Connolly was falling to them. And I heard that there were reports that they like Tyler Booker as well, but I think they like Josh Connolly just a little bit more. I mean, if you take Tyler Booker, then Brandon Coleman stays at right tackle more than likely. But hey, man, I'm never mad at getting the guy that erased Abdul Carter from a game in the Big Ten Championship. Literally like the worst game Abdul Carter ever had all last season as a full-time edge rusher. So that's amazing. Then also continuing with the trend, he talked about Jalen Lane. He said, quote, everybody in the building wanted to draft Jalen Lane. He's incredible and we feel really good about him, unquote. Again, like I've already said, he's a man that's going to wear multiple hats. He's your starting punt returner immediately. And don't even take my word for it. It was like a draft expert. I forgot exactly who said it, but Jalen Lane was the best punt returner in this entire draft. And then on top of that, he also brings some Deebo Samuel to him. First of all, he's built like a running back, not even necessarily like a wide receiver. And he runs through tackles. You can give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage, just like how we utilized De'Ami Brown last year, just like how we utilized Curtis Samuel a couple of years ago, and how we're going to use Deebo Samuel this upcoming season. Jalen Lane can do all of that stuff. Sweeps, screens, reverses, all of that stuff behind the line of scrimmage. And then he's a true 4.34 speed. Like Matthew Golden, I don't know where that 40 time came from because he's nowhere near that fast on tape. Jalen Lane is easily actually faster than Matthew Golden on the field, shoulder pads and helmets on. He's a true 4.34, so he's also going to be your really honestly only deep threat opposite of Terry McLaurin. Before we drafted Jalen Lane, Terry McLaurin was our only deep threat. Now you have Jalen Lane included in that. So he's your punt returner, he's your ultimate deep threat, and then I think he can easily become our starting slot receiver. And so I agree And I definitely believe Adam Peters, because every team is going to hype up their picks, but I think Adam Peters is being completely truthful when he says that the entire building was excited about the fact that they were able to get Jalen Lane in the 4th round. If we had a 3rd round pick, I wouldn't be surprised if they would have taken him just in case in the 3rd round. I think they were that high on him. And then also moving on, remember, Howie Roseman had that clip that came out. It was like the behind the scenes with the Eagles draft this past draft, and Howie had the pick at 32 with the Eagles, and he called Adam Peters about moving up to 29. But Adam Peters told Howie that there would be an in-division tax. And Howie basically just hung the phone up like, yeah, this guy, he's BSing me. I'm out of here. And Peters basically probably didn't want to trade back unless it was like an unbelievable offer, because they really wanted Josh Connolly at 29, and they felt like at the very best case scenario, he probably was going to end up getting taken by the Chiefs at 31 before we got the pick at 32 if we would have traded back. And they really wanted Josh Connolly. They feel like they firmly believe from their sources that the Chiefs preferred Josh Connolly over Josh Simmons. They ended up taking Josh Simmons after we took Josh Connolly, and I'm pretty sure they're happy with their pick. But of course, Adam Peters and every source that they've heard seems like the Chiefs wanted Josh Connolly more, and they would have taken him if we didn't. But Adam Peters even addressed this in-division tax exchange with general manager Howie Roseman from the Eagles at this last year's draft, and he basically said that it was a throwback to the first trade call when Howie Roseman tried to overcharge Peters for a player last year. So he was kind of like, okay, this is your karma. This is my revenge for how you tried to treat me last year. And then, hey, shouts out to Howie Roseman, because, hey, stand-up guy, because even when we took Josh Connolly, he was like, that's a great pick. And he even liked the pick for us, even as an enemy, even as an in-division rival. Now, moving on to the second half of the video. As you can see, the rookie numbers are here, man. Look at them with them boys clean, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. So, first of all, we have, of course, just to break it down again, I want to go ahead and cover everything jersey number-wise. Go ahead and get this out the way. Of course, our retired jerseys are 28 Darrell Green, 33 Sammy Baugh, number 9 to Sonny Jurgensen, 49 Bobby Mitchell, and of course 21 Sean Taylor. So let's go ahead and get that out the way. Nobody can wear those numbers. But draft pick wise, as you can see, Josh Connolly's wearing 72. Trey Amos is wearing 23. Jalen Lane is wearing 83, which is a little weird. Like, I was hoping, especially with how fast he is, that he would choose like a single-digit number or something like that, because he's fast enough to wear it and for it to fit really well. But I believe he's been wearing 83 since high school, so that number must really mean something to him in some sort of way. He just wants to keep that going. The only time he's not worn 83 was when Virginia Tech has their thing where they give like their best player or something on random days. What is it, like number 25 or something like that? You'll watch some of his tape and he'll have that number. He's looking like a cornerback out there. But he must have really wanted that 83, and it was available. I mean, because that's a number that not a lot of people are fighting for. If I'm a receiver, especially if I'm fast, I don't want 83. So that number was definitely going to be available for him. He didn't have to worry about that. And then Kane Madrano's wearing 56, which is really interesting. That is really interesting, because I was thinking, hey, maybe switching to star, that Buffalo nickel, technically like a safety. I mean, because one thing with me with Kane Madrano that especially now that I've gone back and watched more of his tape, and I'm just looking at the athleticism and everything like that, I'm shocked that some people are really low on his pick, but at the same time wanted Nick Amawari so bad. When you change Kane Madrano's relative athletic score to a safety instead of a linebacker, he's like a 9.9 something, like literally almost the exact athlete of Nick Amawari. The only thing is Nick Amawari is a little bit more explosive. You can throw Jeremy Chin in there as well. He's just as almost of a freak athlete as those guys. I would say Nick Amawari and Jeremy Chin are more explosive, maybe a little bit faster, but Kane Madrano is way smoother and more agile. When it comes to changing directions and things like that, I prefer Kane Madrano in coverage over Nick Amawari and Jeremy Chin potentially. Of course, Kane Madrano, still some rawness to his game, but we're talking about pure athletes. He's a smoother mover, changing directions, breaking on the ball, switching this way, hurrying up and going that way. He can do that better than those guys. So I just never understood the crowd. I can understand being low on Kane Madrano, but you can't be low on Kane Madrano and be really high on Nick Amawari. Nick Amawari's tape was not that good. It was just the fact that he was a freak athlete. Kane Madrano is almost just the exact athlete. Now, you could say Kane Madrano is a really bad tackler, and maybe Nick Amawari isn't as quite bad as Kane Madrano, especially statistically, but I mean, Nick Amawari is a really bad tackler too. It's not that huge of a difference. So in the fact that you get, Nick Amawari went early second round. We got Kay Madrano in the 6th round. I feel like that's ridiculous value. But again, he's picking 56, so maybe they're looking at him as more of a linebacker. But I'm assuming if he's going to play linebacker, he's going to be more of a coverage linebacker, which again goes back to my point that his coverage skills crazy. Elite potential there. And then of course running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's wearing 32. Now granted, all of these numbers are subject to change. This is not finalized at all. First of all, they could change these at some point in training camp. After the 53 final man rosters come out and we go from 90 people to 53 people, of course there will be more numbers available. Maybe somebody makes a switch then, or you never know. Year by year people change numbers. Marshawn Lattimore just went back to his college number, so you just never know what may happen. But as of right now, going into rookie mini camps, OTAs, mandatory mini camps, and then potentially training camp, these are the numbers that these guys are gonna have. Now Ja'Cory, 32 is kind of like a bigger running back. That sounds like some Maurice Jones-Drew type of stuff. Like I was hoping he would pick a single digit number as well, something quick, fast, which he is. Again, I've already given you the advanced stats. He's arguably the most agile running back since 2018 to come out of the draft. Since Senior Bowl has been ever tracking acceleration and deacceleration. He had the #1 deacceleration according to like these advanced metrics, advanced testing scientist thing, and he was like 5th in acceleration. Like he's like one of the most freaky athletic, super quick change of direction, jump cutting running backs to come out of the draft out of everybody since 2018. Insane stuff. I think he had the highest run success rate against stacked boxes out of this entire draft class, including Ashton Genty, Amarian Hampton, and Quinshawn Junkins, Travion Henderson, and those guys. This guy is insane. The talent is ridiculous. I wish he would have had a single digit number, but 32 is cool, man. We'll grow to love it. If he likes it, I love it, man. That boy be hooping. And then now moving on to some of the historical numbers that these guys have picked, like Josh Connolly. Of course, 72 makes a lot of sense. Formerly known, Dexter Manley used to wear that number. Different position, but hey, I'll take it. 72 does make a lot of sense for a tackle now. Back then, Dexter Manley times, you could just kind of wear whatever number you wanted. Night Lane Train, he wore like number 81 or something as like a corner or something, like, you know what I'm saying? They just, they was just doing anything back then. And then Trey Amos is wearing number 23, of course, probably most famously known as the number that D'Angelo Hall wore for the Redskins back then. Then Jalen Lane is an 83, Ricky Sanders, you could throw that in there. 56 automatically, I'm thinking of Les Hoss, but you can also think of LeVar Arrington. That was one of my favorite players growing up as a Redskins fan. So I think of LeVar Arrington first, but of course you have Lynn Hoss as well. And then you also have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, that 32. I don't have actually any really like immediate names. I remember who wore the jersey most recently, and that's what I want to get to too. Even outside of the legends, like for Josh Connolly, the most recent person to wear 72 was Viliami Fehoko. He's no longer on the team. And then Trey Amos gets 23 from guess who? Marshawn Lattimore, who now switched his number to number 2, which he wore in college at Ohio State. So he's trying to, I guess, maybe look skinnier with the jersey number. I don't know. But Marshawn Lattimore moves the number 2 from 23. Trey Amos is like, give me that number 23. Let's do it. Then Jalen Lane, that 83, the last time it was worn by anybody was Tyree Jackson. And I believe he's still currently on the 90-man roster. We'll see how that goes. That's probably 2 people wearing the same jersey. Then Madrano is wearing the 56 last worn by Jalen Harris. And then Ja'Cory's 32 was most recently worn by Mikael Walker. And then moving on to the free agents, let's talk about that. Because Javon Kinlaw is wearing number 52. I like that number on him. I think that suits him really well. And I guess the most famous 52 that you could think of for the Commanders, Neil Oakswitz. I hope that's how you pronounce that name. But as far as Javon Kinlaw goes, and like who was the most recent person to wear 52, Jamin Davis, just in case you forgot. Then Nate Herbig, I really love that. That's one of the most underrated signings I feel like out of this entire offseason for us. I feel like fans are really sleeping on Nate Herbig for us, especially his depth. He could easily be starting for an offensive line. He's going to be our backup, I'm assuming center, interior offensive lineman just in general. He's wearing number 53, now that we signed him, previously worn by Ricky Strongberg. And then I guess the most famous Redskin to wear 53, I would say, is probably Jeff Bostic. Then Jacob Martin, who we signed as our edge rusher. He's basically our Dante Fowler replacement, our situational pass rusher. He's wearing number 55, previously worn by KJ Henry. And that's an interesting one there. And Chris Hamburg is probably the most famous 55 in Redskins history, I would probably say. Then you have Will Harris. He's wearing number 3, previously worn by that boy Austin Seibert, man. Hey man, that was an interesting time, man. That was a fun run while it lasted. I was calling him Austin Cyborg. I coined that. It would have been cool if he would have stuck around for years, because I probably would have gotten that patented. And then you have Michael Gallup. He's wearing number 12 now that we signed him, previously worn by Luke McAfee. Really interesting. So now that made me wonder, well, okay, what number is Luke McAfee wearing now? And it looks like Luke McAfee switched from 12 to 11, and I vaguely remember that switch, but not vividly. I guess he did that switch. And then, backup quarterback Josh Johnson, who knows if he makes the team or not. He's wearing number 14, most previously worn by Olamide Zaccheaus, man. And Olamide Zaccheaus was a fun experience, but I'm really happy with what we did in this receiver room right now. But more power to him going over there to the Chicago Bears. We basically traded Jacob Martin, an edge rusher. We got him, and then we gave them Olamide Zaccheaus. Is basically how that trade went. Then you have the most famous 14 in Redskins history will probably be Eddie LeBaron. I would say probably for that one. Then Matt Gay. Now we finally have a potential franchise kicker that should stick around for more than just 1 year or just a few games. He's wearing number 16, most previously worn by Jeff Driscoll. And I can't really think of like a famous 16 for us, but then also moving on, defensive back Jonathan Jones is going to be a heavy part of the rotation in that cornerback room. He's taking 31 from Kazmir Allen, and Kazmir Allen's still on the team, so that's interesting, but he's taking over that number. I can't think of a really famous 31. And then Foster Sorrell, the offensive lineman that was supposed to be the backup swing tackle. I didn't really love his tape that much, but he was slated to be that. But now you have Andrew Wiley, who's technically our backup tackle. He's wearing 79, previously worn by Carlos Watkins, which is a pretty interesting name right there. And the most famous 79 is probably Jim Leche, maybe so. Then Dietrich Wise wearing 91, most recently worn by Carl Davis. And I'm pretty sure we've had a lot of good 91s, but Ryan Kerrigan, I'm going to probably give him that one. And then Eddie Goldman, our true nose tackle. I mean, the last good nose tackle, even decent one we had was John Ridgway, who we traded away to the Saints for what I believe a 6th round pick. He's going to be taking over the fridge. Remember the guy that we got from the Broncos a while ago? He's going to be that true nose tackle, zero tech that eats up double teams. He's immediately going to make our run defense better than what it ever was last year, just by him alone, along with all of the other guys we brought in. But he's wearing number 97, previously worn by F.L. Bada, and the most famous Redskin wearing 97, I would say, is Lorenzo Alexander. Now, maybe I don't know enough ball. Maybe there's a more famous one later, further back in time. But I think 97, I think Lorenzo Alexander. So, again, just to review, I mean, Marshawn Lattimore switching from 23 to 2 is interesting. Laramie Tunsil will wear 78. After we signed him, Deebo Samuel, of course, will wear number 1 as well. For Laramie Tunsil, that 78, I'd say Tim Johnson is probably the most famous. And then when it comes to that number 1, I ain't gonna lie, I mean, I just thought of Rod Strickland from the Wizards, to be honest with you. I didn't even think of a football guy immediately. But either way, those are all of the numbers worn by everybody. And Josh Connolly, again, 72 makes sense. That sounds like a tackle, not a guard. Thank you for that. Trey Amos wearing number 23. I thought he was fast enough and long enough to where he wears a single-digit number. But take over Marshawn Lattimore's old number. Let's do it. Jalen Lane, again, 83 is a little weird. I was hoping he would wear something single-digit. But again, he apparently loves that number because, again, I believe he's been wearing that since high school. Kane Madrano wearing 56, like we've already discussed, is really interesting because I thought he was going to maybe make a move to safety. But maybe they're trying to keep that on the low. We're going to give him a number 56, make people think he's still going to be a linebacker. Next thing you know, he's going to go out there and be our box safety, basically our Jeremy Chin replacement, because Will Harris, technically he's taking over for Jeremy Chin, and specifically as a strong safety, but he's a way better coverage guy than Jeremy Chin, but he's not as good of a guy in the box. Jeremy Chin is built to play in the box. I think Kane Madrano is more of a mold of that. Specifically, as far as like skill set, what they're good at, what they're bad at, I think Kane Madrano more so favors Jeremy Chin than like a Will Harris does. So but 56, at the end of the day, if you're always in the box, I guess you're technically a linebacker, whether you're named a safety or not. I guess it could make sense. And then there's also some situations where maybe they try to tap into that pass rush bag, because he was, he showed some on that film as far as coming off the edge and getting after the quarterback every now and then. So maybe there's something there. Definitely got to gain more weight to do that though. And then again, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, 32. That's cool with me. I definitely see him as way more fast and explosive and quick than a number 32 normally is. But hey, maybe that'll catch defenses off guard. They see number 32. Oh, here comes this bowling ball bruiser running back, and then out of nowhere he's taking off on him for a 50-yard touchdown. So hey man, maybe there's a strategy to that. Yeah man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Really appreciate y'all. If you made it this far in the video, really appreciate you. And like I already told y'all, man, the answer to the trivia question, as promised, is Joe Aguirre. So shouts out to him, man. That's some real Redskins ball knowledge right there. You knew that one? Real ball knower, just off the top of the head with no Google. Insane. Salute to you, and again, salute to y'all for making it this far in the video. Of course, leave a like on the way out, and I really appreciate it if y'all get in the comment section, let me know about everything discussed in this video. Of course, I want to hear y'all opinions on everybody's numbers that they chose, of course, but also even on top of that, man, how do y'all feel about especially the things Adam Peters had to talk about? How excited he is about the draft picks we brought in, the free agents that we traded for, how that man went out and said with confidence, we're gonna break the draft attendance record. You know what I'm saying? That's not something normally a general manager would care about. So let me know how you feel about everything he had to talk about on Pat McAfee show, and this, even just the fact that he was on there. I mean, the fact that like we are here, like our general manager is not only good enough to be respected out here, but he's on the Pat McAfee show now. Like we have one of them ones. And so let me know how you feel about the whole situation we have going on. Him giving credit to Dan Quinn as the culture that we have. Cliff Kingsbury being one of the biggest film guys he knows. I mean, watching an unnecessary amount of tape just to add extra layers to the offense that he doesn't already have, which was already one of the best offenses in the NFL last year. Let me know how you feel about all of that. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.